with studying across different individuals, nonlinear transformations are the most important transformations that you need to consider for registering them. So that works is that in the context of point sets, if you have your source and your target data sets, and you're able to identify common landmarks between the two, you can mark them to have some type of anchor or correspondence. And then the algorithm will find a transformation that registers these landmarks exactly. And this transformation will then be applied to the entire data set. The way this works is that we have this optimization scheme where we define our transformation in terms of these matrices A, B, and B, where AX plus B is the linear part of your transformation, X is the nonlinear part. The energy function that we're minimizing is done using calculus of variations. It has two main components. So you have the energy function comprised of the linear transformation and then the nonlinear transformation. We add normalization to these energy functions, and we also have this lambda parameter that the user sets themselves to define how much importance you want to give to the linear or the nonlinear part of your registration. These are just some constraints that we have on our parameters. I kind of have to speed up the time. But the nonlinear part, when you solve this using calculus of variations, we rewrite v of x as a sum of Gaussians centered at each of the source points with this variable ci, which is the series of Lagrange multipliers. Our Gaussians have this parameter sigma, and this sigma is very important for this algorithm. And the way it works is that I have two different values of sigma, and I'm trying to register points for target points, different sigma. So I register them, and this algorithm ensures exact registration of anchors. However, if I got the Lagrange multipliers, which is kind of indicative of like the coherence of your registration, you see that as your a larger sigma gives you a more coherent movement of your source points. And the reason that is because the sigma defines the size of each of the Gaussians. So a small Gaussian will result in each point just kind of moving independently, but a large sigma will make your Gaussians too broad as well. So you have to find an ideal Gaussian that is appropriate for your task. Speaking more on coherence, we also like to separate the linear transformation from the nonlinear transformation. And so I have a source. This is a and I'm trying to register it to this commodity base. And these red and blue points just represent anchors that I've defined. If I register the transformations, you see that all of the more sophisticated linear transformation gets, that is to rely on the transformation is very linear, and you can see that causes a big distortion of the space domain. Transformation is the most sophisticated linear transformation, and you see that it's taking up the bulk of your registration, which causes the minimal amount of work in space. So applying these ideas to real data, we looked at this fundus data set. And what this is a collection of retinal images across two patients, where the patient's retina was imaged in two different time points. And they were able to identify different ground truth markers between the two different time points. And the data set that we specifically look at is looking at patients who had glaucoma. So the way that we used this data set is that we knew what the ground truth points were, but we could not use those as anchors because that would introduce bias. So we, without knowing where the ground truth points were, we manually selected new anchor points, which are in blue, and then we would register each of the image pairs, and we see that as the number of anchors increases with the fiducial points, your registration error decreases, and the percent of correctly registered ground truth is also error in this case. Registered source. This method to three types of methods and approaches. HM17 typically the authors of the data set. We outperform them as well. We have this method also to traces of neurons in the So here I take an animal and I imaged it at 2 different time points, and then I constructed traces of them. And this is what a registration of these 2 traces look like. And I plot this registration accuracy here. And the way this is defined, because these are manually traced neurons, there's no ground truth that I can rely on. So the metric I use here to calculate the accuracy of my registration is just based on corresponding points, based on competitive distance threshold. So here, this is these 2 points will be labeled as corresponding. But then in this section, you see that there is a source point that does not have a corresponding target point. So this is how we get the accuracy here. Our approach is good for temporal registration, but we can also do spatial registration. So one of the neurons in the elegant and for a decent resolution, you can assemble multiple lines. This registration algorithm allows you to manually stitch the traces together, and this can be done in 2D or 3D, and it can be done either with the image stack, or the trace of the neuron itself. So this is the tool that I've developed. It's available on GitHub if you use MATLAB. This NeuroLab, which is the lab I worked with to acquire the images of the animals. And thank you for the question.
Thank you for interesting talk. Basically, I want to know which type of method is used to solve your optimization.
We use calculus evaluations, so we can solve this energy function analytically. And the nice thing about that is that we'll always guarantee the solution. And when you actually implement this computationally, there's no gradient descent or like any type of thing like that. It's very computationally fast. So this method, when you apply it, when you're actually using it, the GUI for this thing, it works under half a second. Yeah, we've solved this for every single case, and it's that actually is detailed out more in the paper. That corresponds to this. Sorry?
You do real functions for community names. The community names come from the
Yes.
From a database or
Yeah, that database.
from hospital.
It's called this fundus data set. So it's publicly available. And it was it's online. So this is specific for machine learning tasks.
The next speaker is Mohamed Wagas Arshad, which will talk about YOLO SUMNet, either detection and segmentation framework for urine sediment analysis. Mohamed Wagas is online. When this presentation starts, we did the stuff.
Quello che ha fatto la sottomissione. Non ha detto che sia
No, però non c'è solo un cello filter per so for YOLO SUMNet and IBIC for venous sediment paper. No. So look to the next. Gilda Saha, Muhammad Anif, and David Booth, variant guided structured programming for manipulation neural network. Are you here? Do you hear me, Gilda?
these people that are going to speak are your colleagues now.
Questo è scritto, quindi ha mandato un messaggio.
Devono parlare non solo là, per sempre, poi
Luigi, mi senti? Luigi, mi senti?
Rachele, ti sento molto bassa.
Ok. L'importante è che ti sento. Ok. Dildar? Sì. Dildar? È la connessione.
L'abbiamo fatto, l'ho mandato adesso.
Sul programma c'è scritto che i tre sono Angela Pirogallo, Luigi Santopietro, però qui
probabilmente
Arianna...
della tua
no, è questo, sì, infatti sono loro, ci sono connessi, sono i tre connessi. Quindi in realtà credo che sia bene, siccome ci sono diverse competenze, sono 2 o 3 paper relativi al tuo campo e 2 paper relativi al vostro, meglio splittare in 2 quindi la sessione, dove tu sei chair dei primi 3 e loro sono
ma questo
no, però
hanno sbagliato lì.
dobbiamo scrivere, insomma, ricordiamo.
L'avevamo comunicato noi gli speaker. Lui ha comunicato gli speaker a Gervasi che...
Sì, si possono comunicare che voleggero per il certificato.
Sì, no, quello che dico è che era...
Ok,
puoi splittare.
Angela e Luigi, siccome non Isdar e Tania Attar, insomma i paper delle 1440 non ci sono al momento. Se volete voi procedere con gli altri due paper coordinate voi la sessione di questi ultimi due, quindi dividiamo in due questa sessione, non so.
Per noi va bene. Quindi le uniamo e guardiamo anche i contributi della sessione 3.
Credo che forse è meglio che della sessione 3 di questo giorno, no, rimaniamo che questa sessione, ora propongo che venga divisa in due, lo propongo, lo dico allo staff, la dividiamo in due, voi degli ultimi due paper e invece Arianna dei primi tre, ok?
Ok.
Angela, quindi volete presentare voi adesso? State cercando... C'è Valeria? Valeria?
Rachele,
Okay.
ti abbiamo persa.
Yes, ok, Gilder c'è.
Okay. So we can go on with the first part of the session and then we start the second part about air quality.
Angela, scusami un attimo, perché dice che Gildar, quindi la prima parte di questa sessione, quindi magari presenta lei e poi passiamo alla seconda sessione. Scusami tanto perché sono presentato, io presento lei, ok. Sì. No, non io presento. Sì, ho capito. Quindi Angela, aspetta un attimo.
Sì.
Ok, Gildar, are you online? You can open your webcam, the microphone. Okay, the next speaker is Dildar Shah, which will talk about variant-guided structured pruning for optimized convolutional neural networks. Dildar, please. We cannot see your screen.
Quindi non è che non facciamo quello tecnici da quello vostri. We don't have to work on that. We don't have to work on that.
No.
There is no connection between
There is no feedback answer from there.
if you can speak up, we present, we share the
Yes, I was thinking about actually that good as a good solution. You can share, you can send whatever you need
and we can
the presentation and
tanto trasferisci facciamo parlare con gli altri, magari delle compattare, delle...
forse mi senti?
Se non ci sono facciamo le ultime due con gli altri, poi ci proviamo loro. Allora, io ho scritto all'inizio, non ho ancora risposto, non so. Se penso prima magari la corrente, se non è mica di quell'altro.
No, perché sono dello stesso paese?
Sì, sono
Insieme, nello stesso posto.
Sì.
E non possono utilizzare il cellulare, il roaming per fare
Sì,
Lei lo sta dicendo, quindi sta rispondendo.
Quindi ti ho detto di inviarmi la presentazione sulla mail e di parlare soltanto, perché sto provando a condividere il suo screen, però forse dice che la connessione è scarsa, non riesce proprio a... Quindi magari è
La risposta è where I send you?
vi ho inviato la mail.
Okay.
Io ho scritto allora tutto, ma uno mi risponde.
Oppure l'altra alternativa che la saltiamo per il momento,
Sì.
magari lei fa un video ok? Se non riesce, perché saranno più di 2 presentazioni, sono 20 minuti ciascuno, se non riesce a trovare di meglio, così non perde la presenza, vediamo il video dopo, nella pausa, e dopo deve andare lo stesso. Mi sembra l'unico modo.
Ma forse è andata adesso.
Ma se non riesce a parlare neanche, almeno col video dobbiamo.
Sì, sì, certo.
Le dico così? Ok, allora.
Ma mi dice Aletta, se ti dicono che parla, ti devono stare. Io faccio prima anche lui,
La presentazione me la inviata. Dove sta lei? Dove sta? In Pakistan?
Adesso non riesce a parlare, no? Ti vogliamo dire provare a parlare?
Non lo so, dai.
Adesso aperto. Can you talk? Dopo vogliamo insieme, poi parlare, che non la sentiamo guidare sia io. No, se lei prova a parlare, vede la lingua, non... facciamo dopo, facciamo quella perché ci sono, facciamo. Basta, facciamo un altro. Cerchiamo la sì, sì.
Le potete scrivere, no? Le potete, no.
No, forse è meglio dirlo qui, perché qui lo vede, risponde. Prepare a video. The video of your talk and send to us. Metta ok? No, così, non feedback, no?
Non so dove scusate. Dove è
Fotografia.
Sì, mi che prossima, sono... Ti vuoi sentire?
Ah, il trattino.
Ok. No, così ti cambia tastiera.
Ah, con questo? Con questo?
Fai questo seguito da questo, sì.
Ok, grazie. Perfetto.
Rachele, non ti sentiamo. I am speaking. Dildar?
Dildar, can you hear us or can you write us if you hear us or not? We can see your microphone open, but we cannot hear nothing from you.
Okay. Hello, guys. Can you hear us?
Yes, of
Yes.
course.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. So the session can continue. Sorry for the delay.
Can we hear if
No problem.
Ah, ok, ok.
come si chiama?
Perdona.
Figurati, grazie mille Damiano.
Questa è la tua?
Come cavolo si chiama? Duldar? Shan? Are you online? Shan?
Come?
Can you hear?
Okay, so did that? I will share your presentation. Dildar, can you talk? Can you talk with us? Didar? No. Luigi, tu invece mi senti?
Sì, sì, vi sentiamo forte e chiaro. L'unica cosa, per favore, spegnete il microfono quando parliamo, perché altrimenti c'è la voce di ritorno, c'è l'eco.
Ma voi a noi?
Sì, vi sentiamo.
Lontani, ma vi
bene.
sentiamo. Sì.
Ok, allora diamo avvio alla seconda parte della sessione. Vai Angela e Luigi.
Okay. I briefly introduce this section. It's a very pleasure for me to host this workshop about the integration between air quality and climate planning, together with my colleague, Luigi Santopietro, and the other workshop co-organizer, Monica Salvia, Filomena Pietrapertosa, from the Institute of Methodologies for Environmental Analysis of the National Research Council of Italy, Carlo Trozzi from the Technic Consulting, and Valeria Scapini from the University, the Central University of Chile. We can introduce Aruna Kiroma. I don't know if this is the correct pronunciation, but I can see her online. Is she there? Otherwise,
no, she isn't here in the virtual session.
Okay. Otherwise, we can skip to the last contribution scheduled for this workshop. So I'm really happy to introduce my colleague Valeria Scapini, talking about indoor and outdoor air pollution and its health impact in Chile. Valeria, please. The floor is yours. Please unmute your microphone because we can't hear you.
Yes, just one moment that we are putting the presentation on the laptop. So
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
per presentare F5, CTRL-R. English. Yes.
I confirm we can see the screen. We can see the presentation from Valeria.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Angela, for the presentation. I'm going to present you my work called indoor and outdoor air pollution and its impact in Chile, in collaboration with Gabriela Zapata and Jean Paul Quinteros. Sorry for my English, not enough. Air pollution is a big problem in all around the world, and 99% of the population breathe air pollution, with pollution. Is related to different disease and is related to different disease. There is a lot of studies about the relation, for example, air pollution and asthma, air pollution and cardiovascular illness, air pollution, mental health, and also air pollution and cancer. There are a lot of literature in this topic, but about indoor pollution and health, there are literature, but not enough. In Chile, this indoor pollution is a problem because in Chile, outdoor pollution is a big problem. We have 8 of the 15 most polluted cities in Latin America. And indoor pollution is a big problem too because people usually have their homes with firewood, solid fuel. Yes. And not only people, all the people have homes with solid fuel. It's part of the culture in my country. In the north of my country, it's very hot, it's not necessary, but in the south, we have winter, I think 11 of the 12 months. Yes, it's very cold, and people usually cook with solid foods and heat the home with solid foods and heat the water using solid foods. There are not evidence in Chile, a lot of evidence in Chile related with indoor pollution and health. Because the studies are very expensive, you need put instruments indoor the house, and their studies are very small cases. And the purpose of this study is to analyze the relationship between indoor and outdoor pollution together in relation with outcomes in health. The data comes from different sources. We focus in 9 cities in the south of my country. The cities are Coyhaique, Temuco, Chillán, Osorno, Talca, Los Ángeles, Curicó, Rancagua, and Concepción. Santiago, number 10, was excluded because it's the biggest and it's very difficult to work with this data. Yes? But all of these were the most polluted cities last year. Yeah. This is why I am working with that. That comes from different the methodology that comes from directory of evolution from the Ministry of Environmental, yes, with particular matter 10, from the Ministry of specific respiratory and circulatory diseases, information we don't have data about the pollution, but we use a survey, socio-economical survey, very big and very every 2 years. And in this survey, they ask every in the house if you are using solid foods for cooking or for heat water or for heat the homes. Yes. In this case, indoor pollution is a dumb variable if you use or not use solid foods in home. The combination of these different data, we built a big variant from 2015 to 2022. This is the model, a linear regression model. The dependent variable is the visits in health visits, yes. And the independent variables is pollution. Indoor pollution, if you use or not use the solid fuels and temperature. Explained variable number of emergency care visits working in logarithm. Indicator showing the proportion of the used fuels in the city. Particular marker 10 is the atmospheric pollution and average in this city and in this week. Yeah. The panel data is working at city level and at statistically week level. And in the end, temperature is the average of the temperature in the city and in the week. This is the model, and we do a linear regression model, and we use OLS method to estimate the parameters. We include fixed effects from cities, from statistical week, because week is very related with different business, and year. The second model is not OLS. The second model is 2SLS, because we think that this the first model has endogeneity, the problem, because pollution is related to poor people. Poor people is related to with outcome health, yes. And we use instrumental variable. The instrumental variable for pollution problem is precipitation, yes. Precipitation is very, very statistically significant with pollution, and it's not related with health. The results are this. When we use the first and second column are the respiratory disease, and the second is circulatory disease. The results are pollution is strong related with both diseases. Yes, this is the literature say the same. Solid food in your home is related, strong related with outcome health, and atmospheric temperature only for respiratory disease. When we use solid foods, but only for heat home health. Solid foods is also strong related with household health, and the atmospheric temperature is only related with respiratory disease. The second table is using two, two, two SLS method, and the results are, I think, the same. Particular matter is related in both, and solid food consumption in your house for everything is related with respiratory and circulatory disease. And if you are using only for heating your home, is also very strong related with both illness. Yes, and atmospheric temperature only is related with respiratory disease. This is the what the data say. And in conclusion, outdoor and indoor air pollution has a significant impact on health in the most polluted cities in my country. There is a strong association between use solid fuels and an increase in respiratory and circulatory disease. This is very important. We want to increase the study using different cities and in different parts of my country. Thank you very much. Questions? Do you have questions?
No, nobody is there? No. Luciano, not here.
Sorry, can I ask something to Valeria?
Yes.
Congratulations for your work. It was very delightful. And I want to ask you if you have planned to extend your work with an economic evaluation of this kind of impact. I mean, this could be useful to legitimize some measures, some policy measures or recommendation to implement action toward a change in solid fluid and so pursuing at the same time health and climate objectives.
Yes, Angela, this is a very little study. I want to make a big study, but we are applying again together. Did you remember? I want to work this study, but in all my country. Yes, it's my I don't know, mio sogno, come si dice? Dream.
My dream.
Yes, and we're applying together, Angela.
Okay. We can work on it for sure.
We need to work on that. Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there are no more questions, we can move to Aruna Kiroma. We cannot see him.
Is it a line? No. So no, there is no other presenters. Just
okay, we can go on to the next slot of presentation, or we can have a break and see you. I don't know. What do you
Yes,
prefer?
We have a break until 4, and so at 4.
We are going to see the presentation of the Pakistan German.
Yes, but so just this part because Angela is the chair on the other slot. Okay.
If
So
Dildar is able to present, it's our pleasure to host him in the next session, of course.
thank you, Angela.
Non si collega. Ah, ok. Allora, andate il video?
No,
Ha mandato la presentazione.
ha mandato la presentazione, possiamo vedere la presentazione, la possiamo chiamare tramite WhatsApp se vuole aggiungere qualche cosa, oppure semplicemente vedere la presentazione, valutarla e come se avesse presentato. No, posso chiedere se mando il numero. E poi se vuole dire qualche cosa, insomma, giusto per correttezza. Ok. We'll share your presentation, and if you want, you can call us via WhatsApp. Here is my I'll send you an
Rachele, can you hear me? I see now there is connected Muhammad. Sure? Are, you should unmute your microphone because we can. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. I'm very sorry. Actually, there was some time difference. I didn't calculate properly, and I think maybe I missed my slot for the presentation, and
Okay.
I just entered into the wrong room, and now I just found it. I don't
Uh,
know. I think.
you can, Muhammad. You can wait until the recommendation from Rachele. She is in person, so
Okay, it's time for Mohammad Wakas Ashad, which will speak about YOLOV 11 Subnet, hybrid detection and segmentation framework for urine sediment analysis. Please.
So, Mahmoud, you can share your presentation. Do you hear us?
Yes, for sure.
You can start, so.
Okay. Let me share the screen. Perfect. So, uh, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Vakas. So, the topic which today I'm going to present, it's basically on the YOLO V11 SAMNet, a hybrid detection and segmentation framework for urine sediment analysis. So, first of all, thank you for everyone to give a chance to present our work on this platform. So, let's start with the motivation. So, urine analysis actually it's a kind of fundamental and diagnostics tool that is very crucial for identifying the condition like urinary tract infections and the kidney disorder. So, like as there are a lot of things that can be diagnosed on the basis of the urine, so it's a kind of one of the really important problem. So, like currently, actually, the manual microscopic analysis of urine sediment is the standard method. That is currently what is happening right now. And however, like this process has some significant drawbacks. Like it's often like a kind of subjective, varying from one technique to another, and slow, and it can also produce some sort of inconsistent results. So like this is like a kind of an important need for automation in microscopic sediment analysis to improve the efficiency, accuracy, and standardization in clinical diagnostic. So the next slide is about the problems statement. So, like actually, why the need for automation? It's basically lead us to the specific problem, like the existing method that is typically not even performing the detection or the segmentation in one go, and especially on this data set that is not the public one, and no one performed like this type of technique earlier. So it is a kind of one sort of problem in terms of technical approach. So then it's another one is about like there's a significant gap for a system that can perform real-time instant segmentation clinical setting, which require both detecting each particle and outline its precise shape. So actually, due to small particles and their irregular shapes that commonly found in urine sediments, so it's a kind of a struggling to in term of accurate precision and accuracy for the detection, the segmentation. So that's what we perform in our research work. So the proposed solution, which we basically suggests, is like one stage instance segmentation. That is like we are doing like at one stage both detection and the segmentation. So like it explain more in the next slide about the architecture, how it's happening. So it's a kind of a powerful using the powerful capability of YOLO V11 that is basically used for the detection, and then about the SAMNet that is kind of very popular for the segmentation purpose. So we usually basically perform this framework to identify and segment 14 different classes of the particle that found in urine sediment analysis. There are a lot of classes, but the one which we are currently focused on 14 of them. And like previously, if we see in our research or in journal, there are like no other research that can be found that basically work on 14 of the classes. So it's also kind of a novelty right now in this perspective. So the next slide is about our key contribution. It's like the hybrid architecture, like the integration of both the YOLO V11 in the same network. Like one is give us its powerful capability for detection, and then use the same network for the segmentation. And then like we basically use the expert verified pre-processing pipeline that basically help us to ensure the quality and the accuracy of our training data. Like we mean actually take help from the experts in the medical field. So like we ensure the accuracy and the quality, because before using the model or any other approach, so it's very compulsory, like our data will be stable and accurate. So it's also one of the important stage. And then it's the third is about the model capability of segmentation for 14 unitary particles, which is like a comprehensive range for clinical use. And finally, about the framework help to achieve the accuracy in both detection and segmentation while in a real-time scenario. So this is a kind of overall workflow. So this diagram, if you see, it's basically show the overall proposed methodology. So on the left side here, if you see, this is like the expert assistant data processing. So that start with the input of the data, which undergo with the step of label verification, then quality enhancement, then data authentication. That basically done by the expert to create a refined data set. So just to be more clear, we use the RoboFlow tool. So first of all, we use that tool that manually label, and then that can be hand over to the experts to re-verify all the process uh, to ensure like the data will be in the high quality. And then it's fed into YOLO V11. This is like the new version of YOLO V11. So we use the N1, the nano version. So which is like integrate with the SAMNet model as shown in the right hand side. So this model architecture basically consists of the backbone of first like the feature extraction here at this part, and then there's an egg for the multi-scale feature. So that is basically uh, the working in a scenario like about the uh, multi-scale feature fusion is to combine the feature information from a different scale or resolution to improve the representation. So it could be helpful for the model to detect. And then there's a dual process that is happening the next stage about the detection and the segmentation. This had basically processed the feature to simultaneously uh, to detect the particle and generate their segmentation mask and produce the final output. You see at the bottom, it's actually a kind of really short. I don't know it's clearly shown or not, but these are basically a segmentation with the different colors. If you see, they are different colors, so that are basically segmented on the first numbering. It shows the classes that is basically differs with the number. So it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So every color shows the different class. So there are 40 of them, and like after the numbering, it shows its accuracy and precision that I think more clear figure in the upcoming slide. So the next one is about the architecture and the loss function. So about the if we look clear at the model architecture, so the backbone is basically responsible for the feature extraction, as we see in the YOLO V11. So that basically extract the primary features from the input images, and the neck that basically perform the multi-scale feature fusion. So that basically help the model to recognize the particle of various sizes, and then the final is basically that design with the dual branch structure to handle both the detection and the segmentation simultaneously. So the model training is basically guided by the loss function. So about here, the first one is the L box that shows the bounding box loss, and then the another one is the classification loss, and the third one is object, we can say objectness or the confidence loss, and the fourth one is the segmentation loss. So the bonding loss is basically measure the inaccuracy of the predicted bonding boxes. So, and then the classification is basically measure how accurately the model classify to detect the objects, like in our term, like the particles which like the leukocyte and the crystals and the bacteria. And then the object one is basically loss determined with the bounding box. Actually, we can say like it contain the object, or it's just a kind of background. And then the segmentation loss is basically made the accuracy of pixel level mask that outline the shape of the object. So actually, in this whole architecture, we can say like the one stage instant segmentation framework. It's working in a way like the YOLO V11. It's tell to the same network. Here is the object, and then the next part is for the segmentation. The segmentation say like, okay, so this is a kind of the main classified one. So this is the main part for the segmentation. So this is how it's uh, working. And the next, it's about dataset and the pre-processing. So the dataset basically contain the 7,201 microscopic images. So that is basically collected with the collaboration from the institution from Turkey. In this dataset, it's basically categorized 14 different classes in which we basically work, and that include the clinically relevant bacteria like the red blood cells, RBC, white blood cells is basically WBC, bacteria, yeast, and other different particles. So if you see, these are the sample images. These like every particle have vary in term of shape and the size. So to ensure the data accuracy, all images are like underwent with the stage of label verification and the enhancement process using this robo flow platform. So next slide is about the performance evaluation. So here basically we evaluate our model performance We use standard matrices like precision, P for precision, recall, F1 score, and the mean average precision at a threshold of 50, where and then like our model is basically perform well for certain classes. It's not we can say like for all the classes, because it's a kind of complex structure. So like it's goes well with the some of the classes, and in which we basically achieve good results in term of 94.3% for leukocyte for F1 score, and then like 92.5 for epithelial cell. And these are like some of the challenges, like some of the particles it's mentioned about. We say about the bacteria, it's 33.8, and the one like the mucus 27.2. So it is actually, due to their small size, transparency, and a kind of, tendency to clump together. So that is also a kind of a big problem. So it's also, kind of possible to work on more future work for more accurate results. So about the next slide is about the confusion matrices and the challenges. So if you look on this matrix, it's give us like the full model performance across all the 14 classes. So the strong blue dark values along the diagonal indicate like the correct classification for classes like the leuco. If you see here at the bottom, this is the here it's mentioned. So it shows the 94%, and then we have the APAT. It basically shows the 92%. So these are giving the best result. So the off diagonal values shows where the model gets confused. So if we see about the bacteria, it's have a lower one that shows the 56, and then like the budding yeast is 27. So sometimes are misclassified as background. So that is like a kind of main challenge that need to be overcome. So the next slide is about the comparison with the state of the art. So like for just for to be again remind, like this data set, it's not yet publicly used. And so if on our research regarding the previous literature work, we found one of the research work that they basically use the Euro 5N, in which they basically only use the three classes, and in which like they give this result. But like the other one is the 14 classes, and those three classes in which they give this accuracy, other one gives the more accuracy as compared to the one for which they found. So it's also kind of the improvement. And yeah, but the data set is different. The one thing that need to be ensured. And then the mask RN, that is 91 classes, but it's not only, specifically on the urine sediment analysis. So if we see like our model task with the significantly more complex 14 classes problem, and if you see about the high bonding precision, this one that shows 93%, and the strong segmentation one around F1 here at this column, it shows 81. So like this actually shows the effectiveness and the robustness on the complex and the real world medical data set. So that is like a main primary goal of our work. So the next slide is basically the visual result. If you see here, that is like I think maybe it shows a little more clear as compared to the last diagram. So if you see here, like there are different microscopy images. So YOLO V11 SEMNet is like able to successfully detect and generate the segmentation mask for numerous particle, like even still it's in crowded and the complex field of view. So it shows with the different colors that represent different classes of the particle that model has identified. So every color basically specify the different class, and still, if I don't know if you see it clearly or not, like so like on the first number it shows the class with the numbering, and like after that it shows the accuracy that it achieve. So about the conclusion, what we present like about framework hybrid approach for integrating both the YOLO V11 and SEMNet, because like the YOLO V11, as we know, like this part also give the capability of the segmentation also, but we specifically, because it's popular only in term of detection, so we use as like for the detection version, and this then we integrate with the SAMnet, so that provide an efficient and effective results. So this model basically help us to detect the strong detection and the segmentation for most of the classes, but in our case it's a 14 of the classes, and that basically demonstrate the main potential for clinical application and for the future work. Like we still need enhanced segmentation for small and overlapping particle, because like it's still a challenge, because as we see in our result, there are still some of the classes in which there are a lot of improvement that need to be included, because it's a complex structure. So that is a kind of future work that we can use with the more data, or need to be work on more pre-processing of that our data, or to change different models. So that is what we have in our pipeline for the future work that need to be done. Thank you. Any question?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? If not, we thank again the speaker. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll do something very new and technological advanced. So we will call him here. Say hello, guys. Però queste sono le slide, le vedete?
Rachele, noi non le vediamo. Online non si vedono.
Ok. Ok, aspetta allora che le condivido. Da qui. Schermo intero. Ok. Adesso Angela?
No,
Angela?
no, no, non le vediamo.
Non le vedete?
No.
Dildar non risponde.
Is there any
I
session
have,
now?
Dildar, now
Lisa?
we can hear you.
I
I
have to
can hear
resolve my
you.
issue.
Yeah, I have fixed the issue and I hope it's working now.
Okay, so can you present?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Can you see my slides?
Yes.
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 Can I start?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you very much and sorry for the inconvenience. So first of all, my name is Dildar Shah and I am a master's graduate in applied mathematics from Ghulam Isa Khan Institute. The two co-authors, Muhammad Hanif and Naveed Razak Bhatt, are my thesis supervisors. So the title of my presentation is Variance Guided Structure Pruning for Optimized Convolution Neural Networks. It is an interesting topic and of course the central focus of research in deep learning. So before proceeding to the main content, I would like to set a roadmap for my presentation. So first of all, I will motivate the problem, and after that, I will formally introduce the concept of network pruning, and then we will see the problem statement and the proposed solution to tackle that problem. To check the effectiveness of our proposed model, we will see some results, and finally I will conclude my presentation. So let's start with some motivation. So we all know that AI is emerging everywhere and transforming various fields, but the success of AI is completely dependent on these three components. We need more data, we need better models, and powerful GPU accelerators. By big data, I mean not big in term of size, but big in term of like it has a lot of variety, diversity, different types of data. But in this modern era, we can observe that from stock market to biological signals and medical imaging, all the data get recorded, and we are surrounded by massive sources of such informations. So, and all these data have some internal structure which can be exploited. So all we need to do, we need to identify that structure. And once we identify that, that is actually the engine behind our ability to process. But now that we have a lot of data, so the problem boils down to choosing a better model. And let's see how can we do that. For instance, if we consider this fully connected dense network, it is over parameterized, it can perform complex tasks easily. But to train this model, we need a lot of data, and each epoch is going to take so long. So few natural questions arises, is that is training these model an easy process? And in most cases we see that they require specialized computation resources like GPUs and TPUs, which are not always available and not easily accessible. The second question is
Can we deploy these models easily? And we observe that the implementation become a significant challenge. Now, to for the better utility of these models, what we need to do, we need a proper balance between the network size and the number of parameters required for a specific task. So what could be the possible solution to this problem? Actually, we need to produce lightweight and high performing neural networks. So we need to choose the optimal features from the data, and we need to take only the significant features, parameters from the network, so that we can have a light network. For this purpose, different approaches have been done in the literature so far, like quantization, knowledge destination, and network pruning. But among them, network pruning has shown promising results because it not only reduce the model size but also maintain the accuracy. And one of the direct application of the prune model is autonomous vehicles. Because in self-driving cars, we want the model not only to correctly detect the object, but also we want the response of the system to be quick as possible. But now, what actually is network pruning? So, network pruning is a technique used to reduce the size and complexity of a trained model by removing non-significant parameters. It can be connections or it can be the entire neurons. We can see it in the picture. uh, So in the picture, we can see that on left hand and on left side we have the original model, and after applying some pruning technique, we get the prune model where the prune connection are shown by a dotted black line and the prune neurons are shown by red circles. But how we can mathematically formulate network pruning? So. Uh, So we start with an input model f with input x and w parameters, weight parameters, and we get a prune model f tilde of x. But to reach from f to f tilde, we apply some transformation t, which is actually the element-wise multiplication of the binary mask M and the weight parameters matrix W. And all these terms are defined here. Where ta is a pruning operation, f tilde is the weight transform version of f, M is a binary mask, and W is a weight matrix. Then there are different types of pruning, but the two main broad categories are the unstructured pruning and structured pruning. In the unstructured pruning, we remove individual connections, while in the structured pruning, we remove the entire filters or neurons. Then, based on the phase where we apply pruning, it can be categorized as pre-training, post-training, and train time pruning. And based on how frequent we prune, it can be categorized as one-shot or iterative pruning. Now here comes the problem statement. So actually we want to design some pruning strategy that improve computational efficiency while maintaining high classification accuracy. We want to implement a dynamic layer-aware pruning technique that respect the characteristic of each layer, that is not dependent on subglobal criteria. And finally, we want to evaluate the developed solution on standard image classification benchmarks like CIFAR 10, CIFAR 100, and tiny ImageNet data sets. So, to tackle this problem, we propose a soft filter pruning methodology based on variance analysis. So, first of all, we all know that variance is a statistical measure that illustrates how much on average the value on in a data set deviate from the mean. Mathematically, it can be seen like this, where mu represents a mean, xi are the data points, and n is the total number of data points in the data. But in convolution neural network, there are filters, and different filters capture different level of abstraction. And each filter is a tensor with C input channels and a spatial dimension k cross k. So actually, our motivation behind this idea was, what we do, we pass data from the filter, and we observe that by passing different data from the filter, how it activate or how it give us the output. If a filter gives consistently the similar output, it means either the filter is redundant or it is not encoding the essential features in the data, regardless of the input what we fit to the filter. So what we do, we find the variance of the activation, yeah, or the output of each filter. Here AI denote the activation output of ith filter for the bth input sample at spatial location hw. Once we find the variances for all the filters, we sort all the filters in ascending order, and this ordering enable us to prune the least important or non-significant filters and keep the important ones in the network. But how we decide how much filter I need to prune and how much filter I need to retain? So for that, ki is equal to ni dot p. It actually gives us the number of filter that we want to discard, where p is some pruning percentage, and the floor functions gives us the greatest integer less or equal to this value. Similarly, the number of filters to be retained is represented by this formula. Then for each layer, we separately determine the pruning threshold. However, the variance percentage is fixed, but due to different variance distribution in different batch layers, the process is dynamic and different filters are pruned at each layer. So for each layer, we find the pruning threshold like this: Ti equal to sigma square Ki is the variance of Kith filter in the sorted list. Once we find the threshold, then we apply a binary mask. We keep a filter. If the variance of the filter is above certain threshold, otherwise we discard it, multiplying it with 0. Then in the forward pass, we only use unpruned filters for forward computation, while in the backward pass, we update gradients only for the unpruned weights, because for the pruned ones, the gradients are explicitly set to 0. Now, these are some results based on this variance-based pruning method. So the left side show the original baseline resonate 50 on CIFAR 10, and the right plot shows the resonate 50 with pruning. So we can see that our prune model achieves almost the same accuracy in very few number of epochs, and also the overfitting is also reducing. But if we look on the right side, in the initial epochs, there is a disturbance in the learning curves, and that is because of the structure pruning, because we are removing the entire filters at once, and the model performance get disturbed. Similarly, these are my results for ResNet 50 and its prune counterpart on CIFAR 100. The left plot shows the learning curves for the original model, and the right plot shows the learning curve for the prune model. And finally, these are my results for ResNet 50 and its prune counterpart on Tiny ImageNet dataset. So we can clearly see that the prune model not only converges to the same accuracy very faster, but the overfitting is also getting reduced because the pruning is acting like a regularization. For the comparison purpose, this table compare the results for the prune ResNet 50 and its prune counterpart. So the highest training time reduction we have achieved on CIFAR 10. Similarly, the highest testing accuracy for the prune model has been achieved on CIFAR 10 as well. And the highest and the lowest accuracy drop we have achieved is 0.36 or CIFAR 10 as well. For CIFAR 100 and Tiny ImageNet, since they are challenging data and we cannot prune so aggressively, so we are not able to save computational as much as on CIFAR 10. So in the conclusion, I would like to say that we applied some soft pruning strategy using activation variants to reduce the computational type. We applied some layer-wise pruning technique without depending upon the global criteria, which allow for very precise pruning and respect the each layer's characteristics. And the experimental results on CIFAR 10, CIFAR 100, and Tiny ImageNet shows that we reduce the training time significantly with a very negligible or minimal accuracy degradation. These are some references which shows the idea of pruning from the very earliest approaches to the recent advances like in 2019 by Frankel and Carbin. Uh, thank you very much. Questions, please.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments? Not. Thank again the speaker. The session mathematical method for image processing and understanding is concluded for today, and we'll start again the 3rd of July. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We will close this session for 5 minutes, and then we can start at 4 about 15 minutes.
हो गई लेकिन यार अगेन स्लो मतलब वो स्वाद नहीं है आपको मोबाइल करने बट एटलीस्ट गुजारा हो गया कंप्लीट हो गया बस चल रहा है
Ciao a tutti, Angela, Luigi, mi sentite? Scusate per il ritardo, ma abbiamo cambiato PC, insomma, abbiamo avuto ulteriori problemi tecnici.
Ok, ci siamo. Ciao Valeria, bella.
Ciao Angela!
Ciao. Ciao.
Ci
La
segui?
prima volta in presenza, non due.
Sì, sì, è vero.
Ok, abbiamo un ulteriore problema tecnico perché non si vede il video. Un attimo.
Come vogliamo fare?
Ok, ora fa.
Rachele, can you please?
Sì.
Puoi chiamare per favore Valeria?
Valeria? Valeria?
Angela,
Ehi,
dimmi.
vuoi fare tu la moderatrice? Vuoi presentare tu la sessione o ci pensiamo noi?
No, perché il mio English tu sai che non è proprio
Ok.
molto bene.
Ok.
Parla in italiano.
Però io non conosco neanche il titolo dei lavori.
Va
E
bene,
questo
va
è
bene.
troppo piccolo per me, non ho portato gli occhiali.
Ok. Va bene, no problem.
Ok.
Giro sul bosco con la mano. Grazie. Il tour nella città vecchia.
Angela, we can start also without presentation, I think. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we are in the room now. Just a few words of introduction, because the first two papers in the programs comes from a laboratory that we conducted with some students in Matera, the students of Professor Stavo. In Matera, with a class with a student from architectural studies. And we merged two training issues in those works. Here we have two presentations, but we have other works in other sessions because they divided the approach. So we have two learning topics. The first is connected to the downscaling of the new urban agenda. The new urban agenda is the document that focuses on urban sustainable development, the component of world global challenge in cities for people sustainable, connected with the issues of cities and smart technologies and so on. So this is the first topic. But the real topic is the downscale, because the new urban agenda gives us some general objectives, some general topics, some highlights, a specific area of interest. The technical skills should have the ability to transfer those general arguments in local case studies, local projects, local implementation. And the downscaling process is something that should be is a component of the training of the professional skills like an architect, and so that's the idea. And the other issue is connected with the research that we are developing in the framework of Tech for You project, something that we know. And especially the topic of Raquel PhD, to deal with the tourism and to understand the territorial perspective of tourism ecosystem. That tourism is a part of an issue, an argument that urban planners should handle, because it's a component of sustainable development process, of territorial sustainable development process. And sometimes when you work on a remote area, rural area, underdeveloped areas, according also to European cohesion policies, principles, and so on, sometimes the policymakers put tourism as the final option to redevelop some inner areas, and so also citizens that lives that those communities has a huge expectation in tourism development as a driver for territorial and socio-economic development. We worked in a spatial, through a spatial approach to understand the territorial structure of tourism supply system, and also analyzing the demand and many other arguments. Raquel will go into details. But in this case study, we gave the students the option to apply those methodologies on case studies that are distributed in Europe. We have Andalusia, Madeira, Corsica, Istria, and many others. Those first two works regards Raquel, Vallonia and Andalusia.
Andalusia and Corsica.
Andalusia and Corsica, these first two together. So according with this common structure, we asked students to apply the model, to study the territory, and finally to achieve a design option, in order to draw also in a territorial perspective a sustainable development strategy for a specific area according to its specific condition and the methodology that we adopt. I think that Raquel now shows a full presentation, and we can have some comments or some remarks there.
Well, recently the news about Spain got it that there is a huge problem, in Barcelona. For example, the measure decided to withdraw all the license, Airbnb license, because there is too much tourism pressure in the city. But the focus is that they withdraw all the license, so there is a kind of regulation frame problems. They don't know, for example, which is the capacity of the real capacity of the city to handle this kind of tourism flows and tourism pressure. Or I don't know if you heard about Venice and the recently wedding of Jeff Bezos, where in the city there were a huge protest against this huge wedding event, that private event that occupy all the city. So the public space, the public justice of the resident to live their normal life, so their own space that is not appropriately well managed in this occasion. So in tourism, we recognize in the literature a gap in some approach that takes in account the territorial dimension and the structure and the source of data that were applied to assess the tourism phenomena. So we need to develop some approach that are oriented to multi-scale and data-driven dimension. And these sometimes, often, the lack of adequate tools able to analyze the territorial systems through the lens of tourism leads to an effective critical assessment. So the tourism investment, as Francesco said before, are oriented through stimulating, for example, demand through the construction of huge attractors. Well, maybe in some cases there is a lack of common and wider vision about the tourism system. So in our research, we develop taxonomy that is structured in 3 classes. The finest one is the specialized tourism destination area that is structured in 3 categories of elements of data that are specialized attractors, services, and reachabilities. And we transfer this model to the students in order to have a common matrix of analysis of different kind of territories with the specific focus on the local territorial values. So the destination area is made by attractors that are recognized by a specific value chain. For example, belong to the cultural value chain site is or belong to the beach tourism, the blue flag location, and these attractors are classified by methodology, a table that is filled with different columns that correspond to specific requirements to categorize each typology of tourism and attractors. The services that are divided in accommodation and restaurants that support the tourism value chain, and the reachability points that are all the point the point of access to the infrastructural systems of the territories. For example, parking, bus terminals, parking facilities, train station, and so this level describe the tourism supply through the territorial lens. So going deep in the case study analysis, we are in Andalusia, in the south of Spain, which is focusing on the cities of Jerez, El Puerto de Santa Maria, and Sanlúcar de Barrameda. The area is well known for its tradition of winemaking and linked to well-known wine sherry production. Together, these three cities represent 70% of national tourism, and 30% contributed by the province of Cádiz and 13% of Andalusia. 0.7, sorry, 0.7. We can see that the tourist reachability is mainly represented by car. So all the mobility or the facilities related to the mobilities are really car related. And if we exclude the COVID, the 2020, the year of 19 COVID pandemic era, we can see that the number of nights occupied in the area is in the 3 cities is increasing in the last years.
If you want to add something about the study region, through those data we understand that we are not in a major destination, but we are really in a remote area where 0.7% of national tourism is located, and the 3 municipalities show the same trend in data, in tourism data. Ok, torna indietro, scusa. Ok. Una indietro. Okay. The same trend about numbers. So we are similar. 3 municipalities very similar among them. connected by transportation system based by car. So there are a lot of weak points in order to improve this system and to promote this area through territorial exploitation based on this product. This is a wine production, but it is also an enogastronomic framework that we can exploit in order to attract more visitors, more tourism in the area. What is also similar, and this is very typical in the national tourism trend, that after the COVID crisis, the number of tourism and the presence in the area so on increased a lot, more than before COVID period. This is a general trend. This is also the trend that today identify tourism industry as one of the main industrial sectors in Europe. In fact, the European industrial development strategies include tourism as one of the major pillars. It means that tourism regards local development a lot, even more than before COVID, and this is a critical reasoning that we have to consider.
So we applied the STESI model, and so the first step was the POI's collection from OpenStreetMaps, and categorized by the three type of elements in the destination belonging to the destination area. And then we made a cluster analysis, in order to identify this destination area weighted on the distance between point to point. And then we compare this destination area in order to see how, in order to analyze the structure of each destination area and recognize after the limitation or the weakness or the strong point of each destination area. And for example, here in San Lucar de Marmeda, there is a limited accessibility, mainly because there is a lack of private transport regional buses, and there are fewer cultural tourist attractions compared with the other two. So once we have recognized the weakness of the area, select some design urban principles for the Agenda 2030, and in order to give a guide, for the strategy, for the development strategy of the area. And then, so they select the local economy development and heritage valorization, encourages slow tourism and foster interaction with the natural cultural landscape. And the sustainable mobility and connectivity. So we will promote access for all to safe, age and gender responsive, affordable, accessible and sustainable urban mobility, and inclusive access to natural and cultural heritage. The proposal of the students was the establishment of a pedestrian route through vineyards in order to enhance the local production. And along this route, this path, they intend to structure some events and point where you can effectively include all the stakeholders and enhance the value of the tradition. So how the production works in some places, the event for testing, and the localization of this kind of strategies, the results of the analysis they made before, identifying the points, the area that are that are really weak in terms of accessibility and attractors.
They also produce some renders node specific facilities because it is in the ground of architects. So this is the design. Concluding the study allowed us to test this model about tourism destination analysis in a specific area. It is a desk study, so we have not specific information on the places. We didn't discuss with local people. We didn't involve also local decision makers, in discussing this proposal. So, from my point of view, the value regards more the methodological approach than the design itself. In any case, students demonstrated that even without a strong background in GIS application or methodological approach that we propose, integrating also principles that comes from UN new urban agenda and so on, they improved their capacity to manage the technique, applying the technique, produce a design that is valuable from our point of view for testing a methodology. From their point of view, for achieving a technical background that they can exploit in other facilities. I think that we can go to the second case study because it's similar. We change just the implementation context. In this case, we are in Corsica, in France. We can describe the local data. All of us knows Corsica, no? And we understand and we perceive that Corsica is a seasonal destination. The tourism present in Corsica is specifically concentrated during summer, not because of the facility and the tourism structure that is organized over there. So here the topic was how to destagionalize the tourism flow.
But it's not only that, because they realized, for example, the main means of transportation here was Uber. So it means that the tourist choice is rely mainly on taxi, like we see here in Istanbul. There are a lot of taxis. So the demand is that maybe if because there is a lack of public means of transportation, or for example, the data says that the inland area is not really touristic, just the coastline. So the strictly coastline, as we see here, for example, is crowded and is populated by a lot of services, attractors related to beach, and so to the coastal tourism. And we see so that there is high concentration, and inside in the inland is actually there is a very spread offer about this kind of things.
Okay. And as we can see, they applied the cluster analysis and identified some homogeneous area according just to a principle of spatial clustering. So this is a simple technique, but that gives us this perception. After that, we can go on. We identified different principles for the design. If you remember the previous slide, here we have something that is different. In particular, they looked at inclusive economic growth because distributing the benefit of tourism over seasons, and also connecting inland area with coastal area through facilities, mobility facilities, but also services represents a way to reinforce local economy and local opportunities for jobs and growth. And then they also focus on the specific characteristics of the Corsica that offers outdoor activities options during summer, but during the whole season. So it is the typical character that could be exploited in the design phase. Finally, they focus on a specific option. There are some railways in Corsica from the north to the south, ranging on the with West Coast, and it is an operating railway. There is another railway on the east coast of the Corsica, which is which is closed because it was bombed during the war. So it is an ancient railway that is not exploited anymore. And this is this route that you see in the map. So connecting outdoor facilities, identifying, for instance, cycling and hiking as tourist activities that could be improved, that has a high degree of sustainability because they don't need new infrastructure, but they put a lot of good contribution in the tourism economy, because generally cycling in the tourism and hiking tourism are high spending tourists because they move in the territory without impact, but they ask for good facilities in the destination on their trip. They identify along those rail line, a series of facilities that should be improved in order to include this tourism typology, hiking and cycling, in a new territorial offer that could rebalance the tourism flow over years and improve the income for tourism sector in the specific area. Of course, it is also an approach of urban regeneration, because those facilities are located in specific areas that today are not well equipped or well exploited. So it is also a drive to promote this kind of intervention. So the similar methodology applied in two contexts, very different one by other. The Andalusia was very weak destination area. Corsica is a well-known destination area, but with massive problems in common problem in tourism exploitation, allows us to achieve a final design for this application. Okay. If you have any comments, we can discuss, or if we want, we can go on with the other presentation. Are you connected?
Yes.
Okay.
Luigi, Angela, dopo Vito.
Good afternoon. I'm Luigi Santopietro. I'm as the chair of the session, so welcome to our afternoon session. I introduce my presentation. I hope you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
No, Luigi.
Jitsi say me that I'm sharing my screen. No? Rachele?
Sì, dimmi.
The presentation is on the screen or not?
No.
No, non c'è.
Can you solve it, please?
Can you because it's not here, actually there is, non si vede neanche il fatto che tu hai provato a condividere, quindi non c'è neanche la richiesta di, come dire, l'inquadratura, no, della condivisione. Quindi al massimo, se vuoi, mi puoi inviare la presentazione, perché non saprei come...
Ok.
Se mi invii la presentazione, allora
sì.
io poi scorro sulle parole.
Ricevuta?
Ancora no? Sta aggiornando.
Ora?
No. Sta attraversando l'oceano. Ok, perfetto.
Non si vedeva la conclusione dello schermo. Ok, Luigi, funziona.
Ma non la vedo.
Aspetta che condivida. L'ho scaricata. Ok, schermo intero. Condividi. Ok, la vedi adesso?
No. Ora sì.
Adesso?
Ok.
Ok.
Rachele, vedo tutto frizzato.
Luigi, mi dispiace tantissimo.
Però se parli ti sentiamo, Luigi.
Lo so, però Francesco non riesco a seguire. Cioè...
Ah, giusto.
Vedi adesso, Luigi? Adesso?
Allora, sì, ora vedo qualcosa. Prova a muovere le slide.
Luigi, se tu c'è la tua presentazione, parla e dici andiamo avanti, che noi andiamo avanti.
Vabbè, proviamo in qualche modo. Se Rachele mantieni così la velocità più o meno riesco a seguire le slide, va bene. Va bene così, dai. Va bene così. So, good afternoon to everyone. I'm Luigi Santopietro from National Research Council of Italy. And next slide, please. On the in this presentation, I will provide some insight and lesson learned from the Life Local Go Green project. In particular, I will show the self-assessment report process developed by each pilot municipality of engaged in the project. And then I will provide a specific focus on policy areas selected by each municipality and a short but significant content analysis of the plan analyzed. Next slide, please. The background of project is based on the current ambitious target of climate neutrality by 2050 of EU Commission, and this target require a strong commitment at all levels of governance, especially at urban scale. In this challenge to achieve the climate neutrality, it is revealed the gap, the disparity between large and small cities. And so we have to think that that also small and rural municipalities struggle to embark on an effective path toward the decarbonization process. And this is the aim, on the next slide, please, of the Local Go Green project that is aimed at the that is aimed at develop and implement and monitor short and medium-term plans for accelerating the clean energy transition to achieve the 2030 targets. It is obtained through the selection by the 6 pilots located in the 6 EU countries of 3 out of 5 priority areas. And the municipalities in Do It have developed a shared document that is the self-assessment report. The self-assessment report includes the current and the planned action in 3 out of 5 priority areas selected. And looking into details, this self-assessment report, it is built up of 6 sections. The first is an introduction where each pilot municipality motivates the selection of 3 priority areas. Then it's provided an overview on key energy and climate legislative frameworks and the role of national and subnational policies in driving local policies and local action in each pilot municipality. The third section includes a general description of each pilot municipality, specifying the structure of the coordination and organizational structure and the availability or not of dataset and decision support tools. Moreover, in this section are declared the commitments for climate mitigation and adaptation. Section 4 is dedicated to the explanation and the description of plans, strategies, and action developed by each municipalities, in specific the strategic initiatives and urban planning instruments, and the current and previous project where in which the municipalities are engaged in. The last 2 sections are related to the description of the existing infrastructure supporting the development of action referred to the 3 priority areas selected by the municipalities. And the last one is an overview of critical issues and opportunities in developing the action envisaged and planned by the pilot municipalities. Considering the priorities area selected, 6 pilot municipalities shared the selection of 3 priority areas in particular: the transport priority area, energy efficiency of building, and the expansion of renewable energy system. It's relevant to highlight 2 facts. The first, only the municipality of Antunovac has selected the land use planning for increased carbon absorption priority areas. and no one municipality has selected the waste to energy priority area. Considering the number of priority of the number of action per priority area envisaged by the municipalities, the large part of the action is related to the energy efficiency of building. The majority of action is developed by the Hauptstadt municipalities, while for the other priority areas, on average, each municipality has developed from 3 to 4 action. Considering the state of art of planning, each municipality has a recent plan or strategy. Indeed, they are all developed after the 2010, and so are very recent in terms of commitments. And specifically, 3 municipalities, Ormos, Ponferrada, and Tito, are also Covenant of Mayors Initiative signatories. That is another EU initiative focused on the adaptation and mitigation commitment. While looking into details these plans, we provide content analysis focusing on 4 areas. The first is the link to other planning tool. And in this case, except for Ponferrata that doesn't provide us any survey, we can see that all municipalities has a link between the plan and the other the plan and the action planned to a different planning tool. While looking at the funds used, all municipalities have used an EU or national funds, and considering the monitoring and evaluation process as the weak part of the planning process, it's relevant to highlight that all municipalities have planned a monitoring and evaluation process with objective indicators or a responsible actor for the monitoring phase. This is true for all municipalities except from Albstadt, that has no currently a monitoring and process and evaluation process, indicators, objectives, and so on. Considering the last focus area for the content analysis, we see at general and cross-cutting issues involved into the plans, and we can say that also in presence of mitigation commitment, no plan has provided the establishment of a positive energy district or a renewable energy community. While for the other facts, there are 3 out of 6 municipalities that have linked their action envisaged in the plan to the sustainable development goals. Concluding, the Life Local Go Green project recognize that there's a need of policies and strategy that have to be based on an holistic knowledge of the local system. The project is focused on joint efforts to provide a baseline on which build medium to long-term transition scenarios. And then it's relevant to highlight that municipalities have developed a shared document that is the self-assessment report. That was very useful to provide a description of all strategies or current and planned strategies in terms of adaptation, but also in specifically mitigation commitments. What are the next steps of the project? Are specifically two. The first one is carry out a gap analysis to identify barriers in implementing energy transition issues. And second one, provide practical recommendation for design policy intervention in each of priority areas selected by the pilot municipalities. So, thank you. Any question?
Thank you, Luigi. Thank you. A question. When you presented the result of this analysis to local administrators, to stakeholders now involved in the process, they started how can I say, a learning process. It means the municipalities that already developed such specific contents that are not included in the others. Started the process of transferring knowledge, transferring practices, supporting, or not?
Yes, it was started a learning process. It was also supported by the transnational expert group. That is another important part of the Life Local Go Green process. So they are now engaged to solve and fix problems or issues that that were highlighted during this learning process. But the action are currently ongoing.
Okay. Any other comments? No. Thank you, Luigi.
Okay, so we can move on to the next presentation. I introduce my colleague Angela Pilogallo that presented its work building the air quality and climate planning, paving the way for better integration. This presentation was this work was also developed with me, Luigi Santopietro, and our colleagues Filomena Pietrapertosa and Monica Salvia. So, Angela, the stage is yours, please.
Thank you, Luigi. Can you see my screen? I'm sharing my presentation. Okay, that's me, Angela Pilogallo, from the Research National Council of Italy. Actually, I'm going to present a mashup of several works we performed within the scope of air quality and climate planning integration. We all know that these are two very interconnected issues since they share the most of their emission sources. Actually, from the regulatory framework perspective, they are dealt separately. From the European to the national legislation, but there is a growing demand for a better integration of these two topics. The aim of this work is the investigation of the integration between air quality and climate planning, considering a multi-level governance case study, and also the identification of potential factors conducive, enabling a better integration. We built a methodological framework based on these three main steps: the building of a repository of all the plans, the assessment of integration between air quality and climate, so performing a content analysis of both air quality and climate planning. And the first step concerned the identification of potential factor. The multi-level case study spans from the Italian scale to the municipal scale, considering the Tuscany region as a specific case study selected because it approves jointly an air quality and a mitigation plan. In Italy, just 8 regions out of 20 approved an adaptation plan or strategies, and just 6 regions approve mitigation plans. This is very meaningful, considering that the climate planning is on voluntary basis in our country. Why we choose Tuscany? Because, as I said, it approved the Toscana carbon neutral plans targeting the carbon neutrality by 2050, and we consider it also the municipal scale with 61 municipalities with a climate plans between SEAP, so just mitigation plans, and SECAPs, so targeted both mitigation and adaptation objectives. We highlight that most of these climate plans need to be updated because they refer to 2020 target. Considering the second steps of our methodology, we defined these 4 main criteria to assess the degree of integration between air quality and climate plans. So we considered, we verified, we checked if the plans included a GHG reduction target, or if this was recognized as a co-benefit of the measure included in the plans. The third criteria relates to potential synergy developed with the air quality plan, and the fourth is related as an air pollution as a factor exacerbating risk, natural risk in the climate change scenario. What we found? We found that at the national level, just 2 adaptation plans and 1 mitigation plan reached the higher level of integration, while Tuscany is at the medium level with the 3 fulfilled criteria out of 4. At the regional scale, we performed the content analysis of the Tuscany carbon neutral plan, and we found that the improvement of air quality is not a specific objective, is not a goal of the plans, but it is recognized as a co-benefit of mitigation action. It has no reference about air quality plans, nor at the regional and at the municipal scale. However, it refers to atmospheric pollution as a competing risk with respect to climate change related hazard. At the municipal scale, we performed the same analysis, looking at the same criteria in all the climate plans, and we found that 5% of municipalities and 5% of municipalities reached very high, the most high integration degree, while 8% and high integration. So actually municipality performed well than better than the regional scale. The third methodological step concerns the identification of a factor potentially enabling a better integration, and we framed this analysis looking at the upscaling theoretical framework, which is upscaling is the process leading to widen the impact of a good practice of a successful policies and so on. In the literature, there are actually several classifications of upscaling dynamics. The most common classification identifies three main types: the horizontal, the vertical, and the hierarchical one. The first one is based on bilaterally knowledge sharing between cities to cities, or otherwise between authorities at the same level of the governance. The vertical upscaling is based on a mutual, we can say, a mutual policy dialogue between several governance levels, and it is related to all the kind of support that an higher governance level can provide towards municipal and local authorities. The hierarchical one, finally, it is based on legally binding rules. A typical example of the hierarchical upscaling is setting standards, minimum standard to try to involve also the laggard cities. Among the factors driving for a better integration, we considered the membership in climate network and initiatives, and the involvement in transnational project referred to the horizontal dynamic, while concerning the vertical, we considered the support from covenant territorial coordinators and other kind of supporters, and the assistance from covenant supporters. There are association and non-state agency. Furthermore, we tried to investigate the role of the local communities and stakeholder involvement in driving this degree of integration between air quality and climate. So we consider two more factors related to the level of engagement detected in the plans, and the presence of local climate activist group. These are, I go fast among the results factor by factor. These are, for example, the chronological evolution of the number of signatories and approved plans over time, considering the role of territorial coordinators. These are the results concerning the citizen engagement from inform to empower. So we found that just 10% of climate plans analyzed reached the higher level of citizen and stakeholder engagement, considering the methodology developed by the International Association for Public Participation. And these are, for example, some representation, some picture about local climate activist group that in Tuscany are very active, not only on the climate side, but also on the environment issues in general. For example, we see that they performed a sit-in after an accident in the any area of Calenzano in the province of Florence. Final remarks concerned the the highlight that locals move faster, in sense that while municipality showed a better integration, the region is still at the medium level, considering the same criteria for both the governance level. We found that citizen engagement is crucial to ensure that climate plans truly reflect the needs and priorities of local communities. So in the average, where we found a better degree of engagement, we found that better results in terms of integration. Top-down and bottom-up approach should be integrated in such a way to develop synergies between horizontal and vertical upscaling dynamics. And then we were able to reaffirm that co-benefit, the direct perception of local communities of the improvement of air quality and the reduction of air pollution, it can boost also climate effort and climate action from the local authorities. Thanks for your attention. Okay. I don't know if there is any question.
Yes, just a comment. But this integration is something that you are expressing through a technical judgment.
Yes.
As model, or is something that you want to measure in some analytical way? Because at the moment I've seen some percentage, sometimes
Yes,
reference.
We performed a scientific, robust content analysis, plan by plan, and we assigned yes or no for each of the criteria I showed. So the integration degree came from evidence-based analysis from the planning content.
From the text analysis of planning content?
Yes, yes.
Not any remarks in indicators that shows the impact, the results, or the investments, or anything like that?
No, because there is no evidence about results at the local scale. You know that air quality is a regional issue in Italy. Tuscany was the only region to perform municipal air quality plans just in the exceedance area. So for a very limited number of municipalities.
Okay.
We can correlate data by data because there are no available evidence of the air quality investment.
Okay, thank you.
So if there are no other questions, we can move to the last presentation. The last presentation is ensemble model to analyze the correlation between environmental feature and respiratory emission in the
Luigi,
turn on the microphone.
Sorry.
We hear you, but it's Angela. I think it's Angela microphone.
yeah. We are in the same room, so I don't know if you hear me. But the last presentation is, I think, is presented by Vito Telesca, and the paper was developed by Vito Telesca and Marica Rondinone. I don't know if you heard the title. If yes, I don't repeat it. Otherwise, just to be sure, the presentation is entitled Ensemble Machine Learning Model to Analyze the Correlation Between Environmental Feature and Respiratory Admission in the Emergency Room. Vito, the stage is yours.
Yes, I am.
I just Want to share?
Good afternoon
Please
to
share the screen. Try to share the screen because we cannot see the presentation.
Presentation mode.
Here we are. Everybody can see?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon to everybody. I am Vito Tedesca at Engineering of the University of Brescia. Our work is entitled Ensemble Machine Learning Model to analyze the relation between environmental features and the respiratory in the energy improvement, and you know, as she an important problem in the world, and cause mortality in as a relatively immediate the study area the is of and of association and